ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. take it.
It's a very not. Oh, come on. But I think it was 20.
Last time you said you're gonna do the same.
We're gonna recap it.
Yeah.
We're gonna recap it. Yeah, that's what we said. I think was it 20? Yeah. Okay, let's do from 20 inshallah, and then we'll go from there. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. Sorry, first of all, I just want to apologize for me being a little bit late. I had a counseling session in Frisco, and then that kind of delayed. Then realized the time, and then coming here was a little bit of traffic. So, khair, inshallah. أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that, or who is it that would be an army for you to help you other than the most beneficent Allah. The disbelievers are in nothing but deception, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the previous ayah, what did he mention in the previous ayah? Where he mentioned that أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ صَافَّاتٍ وَيَقْبِضْ مَا يُمْسِكُهُنَّ إِلَّا الرَّحْمَنُ إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرٌ. Right? And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is mentioning about those who will be punished, right? And those who are looking for, to challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? After recognizing all these blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which were previously mentioned, right? Which prepared army do you have besides the most merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Can you bring any army who is under your own control against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Meaning this is a challenge where any nation, any human being, they can become an army, they can become the entire world. Can they challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and challenge Allah's mercy, right? And be in, challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Is that even possible? Right? It's not possible. Why? Because Allah is such that, he can, between, him giving a command, right, is between the letter kaf and noon, right? And as we mentioned previously as well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows each and every single thing, right? We said that there how many billions of human beings on the planet as of now, right? He knows everything. He knows what's in their hearts, what's in their mind. He knows their surrounding. He can listen to them. He can hear them, right? Okay, the 6.2 billion human beings aside, the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creation, right? That's also in billions and trillions, and we don't know the number of it, right? Allah knows that as well. Allah knows that, right? So again, can you bring an army who is under your control against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? And again, this verse teaches us to exercise tawakkul, reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? In very sphere of our life, to the extent that a person teaches himself to rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even when quenching his thirst with a glass of water. Right? That a person, he quenches his thirst with a glass of water, and he relies on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even at that time. right? And then the word Ar-Rahman is used in this surah because the theme of the surah is that of Allah giving many blessings, fits with the theme of Allah being Ar-Rahman, right? Abundantly merciful. Therefore, Ar-Rahman, should give us a sense of obligation. Ar-Rahman gives us a sense of obligation. The word ghurur means deceptions or false perception, and therefore implies that they are being convinced that the choice they are making is good for them, but it is in fact destructive for the future eternal life. Right? In another chapter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. Right? The ghurur, meaning deception, that this dunya and the mata, the materials of this world, is a deception. Right? We think that everything that we have is going to stay forever and ever. Right? The things that we have, we are not going to be forever and ever. Right? Regardless of our things. Right? The things that we have, right? The clothing that we wear, right? After a certain time, we say, oh, it's time to change it, right? Change it to another designer wear, change it to another color, change it to something else, right? The home that we have, right? We say, oh, okay, let's get a bigger home, let's get something different, right? So on and so forth, where this mata and this worldly life is a deception, right? Is a deception, right? This is why the biggest sin is to be ungrateful to Allah by disbelieving Him. Kufr, which is kufr, right? Because you are covered in surrounded by falsehood from all around you. You find it hard to see the light and guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When somebody is in kufr and is in deception and is in disbelief, what happens? That you falsehood will surround you from all around you, and you find it hard to see the light and guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you cannot understand, you cannot see, as Allah mentions in the first surah, Surah Baqarah, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala locks their hearts, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, puts a veil, on their hearts and on their eyes, that they cannot see reality, they cannot see the truth, they cannot see guidance, and they cannot understand, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the idolaters who worship others beside Him, seeking help and assistance from them. Allah rebukes them for what they believe, and He informs them that they will not attain that for which they hope. The root word gharara means to be deceived or beguiled into desiring what is false and to follow a course without being rightly guided. Right? So the root word gharar means something that you are being deceived and you are following a course without being rightly guided. You're just going, wandering here and there. Right? You don't know where you're going. You're not even guided. Right? That is what the word means. Right? So again, this world is a deception from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, أَمَّنْ هَذَا الَّذِي يَرْزُقُكُمْ إِنْ أَمْسَكَ رِزْقًا بَلْ لَجُّوا فِي عُتُوٍّ وَنُفُورٍ. Or who is it that will give you sustenance if He should withhold His sustenance? Right? If Allah was to hold our sustenance, right? Who is the one that will give us sustenance? Right? Besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nobody can give us sustenance. Right? Allah is the one who is Razzaq. Right? Allah is the one who provides rizq to us. Allah is the one who provides rizq to the animal kingdom. Right? Allah is the one who provides rizq to us in our everyday life in such a way that we can't imagine. Right? The blessings that Allah has bestowed upon us as human beings, right, is such that, subhanallah, we cannot imagine. if He was to stop that, right? If He was to put a pause to it, right? Then who would be the one that would give us rizq, right? Who would be the one that would provide us rizq and provide for our give, fulfill our, how would we be able to fulfill our necessities, right? Many a times we think, sometimes somebody loses their job, right? Somebody needs a job, right? And we think that even though, like, subhanallah, we become, despondent of the mercy and the risk that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still providing for us. When we don't realize that, right? We don't realize that, right? We think that, oh, we don't have a job, what's going to happen? How are we going to provide for ourselves, right? How is the, Allah opens so many doors in such a way. Allah opens so many, different ways for us, for Him, for us for Him to provide for us, right? That we cannot understand. And it happens to so many people. But Allah tests us in that, right? Are we obedient to Allah? Do we turn to Allah? Do we focus our attention towards Allah at that time? Or do we think, oh, why is it that it happens to me? Do we question Allah, what Allah has given us and what Allah has, has decreed for us? Do we question that, right? If we say this is from Allah and this Allah is the one who is going to give me something better, right? Allah is going to provide for me. Allah is my provider, right? Not my job, right? Not my duty, not what I think. These are all means, right? Not saying, no, don't go to work. Not saying, oh, don't, just stay at home. Allah will provide. That is not the way of Allah. That is not the sunnah of Allah. Allah says, yeah, you make your effort, right? So yeah, I do my job, right? Sometimes we think that because of what we are doing, Allah is providing us because, I'm working so hard, right? I made this company for myself, right? I made this status for myself, right? Allah did it for you, right? Allah provided for you. Allah gave you all this, right? And it is that you utilize it in the proper manner that Allah wants you to utilize it, right? So that if a person doesn't utilize his wealth according to the way Allah wants you to, and according to the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then he will automatically use it in avenues that he is not supposed to, right? And then he will be questioned for that, right? As it is mentioned in the hadith, that a person will not move from his place until he answers questions. 4 questions, and according to the riwayah, 5 questions, right? And so what is that? Where did you earn your wealth from, right? And how did you spend it, right? Where did you earn it? Was it from halal source, right? It wasn't from haram. And how did you spend it? Did you spend it extravagantly? Oh, I have the money, I'm going to utilize it, right? Sometimes you see in your home so many things that you have, right? But it's still from the shop you want to get it, right? You have it, but you still want to get it. So, oh, I had this already. Oh, let me go return it. Get my money back, right? So sometimes you extravagantly spend in such a way that, subhanallah, you don't even need it. And again, let me remind myself and all of us, right? The haram way of earning, there is no hisab on it. There is adab. May Allah protect us from that. And that which is through the halal source, right? The halal earnings is such that there is hisab on it. see, right? And it's not that okay, you earn the. I mean, how is it possible? You earn haram, you spend it in haram or even in halal. You spend it in the halal way, but it is not accepted in the eyes of Allah. As we hear many times, the hadith that is mentioned at the time of Hajj, right? A person goes for Hajj, right? And he holds the cloth of the Kaaba, and he's making dua, and he's weeping, and he's crying, right? And you think, wow, subhanallah, this guy is in some kind of difficulty, right? His but his earning is haram. His clothing is haram. His eating is haram. His traveling is haram. How is Allah going to accept his Hajj? Right? It's in the hands of Allah. Allah may accept it through his thing, but that is the condition, right? It's a condition. You are doing something, you have to do it according to the right rules and regulations. If you don't do it according to that, then how is Allah going to accept it? Then the hadith mentions that, right? Then further Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions that, I'm going to go on to the next ayah, and where, I mean, there's so many things I could mention about this, but I'm going to skip it. Further, Allah says, أَفَمَنْ يَمْشِي مُكِبًّا عَلَى وَجْهِهِ أَهْدَى أَمَّنْ يَمْشِي سَوِيًّا عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Then is the one who walks, right, fallen on his face, better guided, or one who walks straight on a straight path, right? So the one who walks, and أَفَمَنْ يَمْشِي مُكِبًّا عَلَى وَجْهِهِ, right? He walks on the face of his face, right? And is that person better guided, or the one who walks erect on a straight path, right? So there are two groups of people mentioned in this verse. Those who ignore the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, persist arrogantly on ungratefulness and disbelief, and those who reflect, believe, and do good, right? So that is the meaning of the ayah. أَفَمَنْ يَمْشِي مُكِبًّا عَلَى وَجْهِهِ أَهْدَى أَمَّنْ يَمْشِي سَوِيًّا عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. The one who walks fallen on his face, right, is better guided, or the one who walks straight up, erect, on a straight path, meaning the one who ignores the signs of Allah, right, and he persists in arrogance, right, and ungrateful and disbelief, right, compared to the one who reflects, who has iman, who is obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and has believed and does good, right? So this verse teaches us to thank Allah for both, right, material and spiritual benefits. One should show gratitude towards Allah with the heart and tongue, and then use one's limbs in serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to be disobedient towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to be ungrateful for the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon him, right? That is the deeper meaning, in such a way that how, as believers, we show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the material and spiritual benefits, right? And show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our hearts and tongue, right? And then use our limbs in serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not being disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not being ungrateful for the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us. We cannot comprehend it fully, but we know that walking on one's face is unnatural, right? Walking on one's face is unnatural, and it is a sign of humiliation, right? So the believer will be gathered on the day of judgment, walking upright upon the straight path, and the vast and spacious paradise will be open up for him, right? So the one who is obedient, who is on belief on the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that person, there will be a straight path, and vast spacious paradise will be open for him. And however, the disbeliever will be gathered walking down on his face to the hellfire, right? Because he disbelieved and he was disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't realize and understand the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many times, people ask, the person, how is he in fault when he is a disbeliever? No prophet came to him, right? He didn't understand the Quran, right? And nobody went to tell him, nobody guided him, right? Is he in fault or not? Is he in fault or not? Yeah, I'm asking the question. Sorry, I was drinking water as well, but that was a little short pause. But is he in question? I mean, is he in fault or not?
Yeah.
I think no.
So that means that he should go into Jannah then. Even if he doesn't accept Islam. Right?
If he was never aware of the how could it be a fault? If he was never aware.
So non-Muslims nowadays, right, they're not aware of the deen, right? They no prophet came to them, right? And they don't go to study, okay, let me go study the Quran, right? Who can tell me?
That group of people will be tested on the day of judgment. There will be a group of people in that camp that will be tested on the day of judgment.
The ones that they never heard about the message from. Not the people.
They will be tested on the day of judgment.
No.
By Allah.
No.
So how will they pass the test? If they pass the test, then they will go into Jannah.
No.
Even if they disbelieve.
Not disbelieving. Not disbelieving. People who are not given the proper message.
No. I'm talking about non-Muslims.
They should are taught.
Huh?
For
For example, the non-Muslims, right? They haven't received any message
at all.
because they are in this at this time, for example, okay, in this time, not before, right? No prophets came to them. No prophets come right now. They haven't studied the Quran. Neighbor has told them about Islam, right? Then what? What about them?
Their fault.
They are fault.
Yeah, it's almost impossible not to hear about it.
Why they are fault?
Because it's almost impossible not to hear about it in today's age.
Yeah.
Everyone's
So okay, let me tell you. Okay, the thing is that if Allah wasn't to send any messenger, any book to the humanity, right? There are signs within the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is signs within yourself. Allah says, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Right? In the signs of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That I think we talked about this previously in the previous ayats as well, where Allah mentions about the skies, about the birds, about different creations of His, right? That if there wasn't any messenger sent, no book revealed, right, to guide the humanity, but still the human being has enough intellect, right, to ponder upon the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to recognize that there is a creator for that, right? You look at the sky, right? You say, how is this created? No human being can reach and create something like that, right? There has to be a creator. That is Allah, right? That is God, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So that is something that, a person, they want to do that. If a human being wants to do that or not, right? It's up to them, right? Many a times you find people, nobody invited them towards Islam, right? They started pondering upon themselves, and they said, yeah, no, this makes sense. I'm going to accept Islam. That is them using their intellect, okay? And it's always that signs are such that Allah, shows them the signs, right? Shows them things that they accept through that, right? And again, obviously, there is people who are not going to accept Islam, right? There are people in the past who never accepted Islam, and they are going to hellfire because that is what is decreed for them, right? But subhanallah, the answer to the question is such that if there was no prophet to be sent, if there was no books revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? A human being has been given enough intellect to ponder upon the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to understand the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So, you want to ask a question?
So what happens if they believe in the Creator but still do not believe like in Islam?
Now it's a different thing in the sense that, okay, we have a prophet, right? We have revelation that was revealed, and our iman is such that, yes, we believe in Allah and His prophet. The belief and the faith is incomplete if you only believe in the oneness of Allah. You see what I'm saying? And if you believe in the prophet as the prophet of Allah, right? Not son of God, not anything else, but the prophet of Allah, who was given the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the book of Allah is guidance for us. You see, the book of Allah is guidance for us, right? And that is the complete faith, right? It's not that just, I believe in God, because at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Jahl believed in God, right? But he believed in all the idols as well, right? He didn't believe in the Prophet, right? His own uncle believed in God, but he didn't believe in the Prophet. He didn't accept it, right? He didn't accept it. So that is the thing. Any other questions? Yes.
So, going back to what Brother Bilal said, is, I heard that same thing, that on Yom Qiyamah there will be people who will be judged on that day who never received the message. They will be judged right then and there. If they pass the test, they go to Jannah. If they fail, they go to Jannah. That's what I heard too.
Okay.
Is that true?
Wallahu alam, I haven't read any hadith regarding that. Is there a hadith regarding that? But in that sense,
A specific group of people that didn't, whoever didn't receive the message of Allah or never heard of
This
Prophet hasn't been sent to these
group,
people.
the test in question, when we heard it together, was that they would be shown basically hellfire and Jannah, but the fire itself, the angels will tell them to enter it, and if they obey the angels, then it will actually, they will have passed the test. It wouldn't be the fire. That's what the test will be. They will be shown a fire, but they'll be asked to enter it. And if they enter that fire, then they will believe they will pass it.
Okay.
They will be
I
ordered
haven't
to
heard
do
a
so.
hadith of sort. I mean, I know a hadith where Jibreel alayhi salam was sent to look at Jannah, right? And it was covered with difficulties, right? And he was told to go and check Jahannam, and it was covered with desires, right? That is one hadith. I don't know if this is a different. Again, it's a question of is it believers or non-believers? You see, if it's about believers, right, and they will be obviously accountability is there, right? Being accounted and being judged and being think about what they did within their life as believers is something. But again, the decree of those who disbelieve, right, and didn't accept the oneness of Allah, right, regardless of when and what time they were in or what era they were in, right, regardless of that, Allah mentions that in the Quran clearly. You see what I'm saying? That فَإِنَّ لَهُ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. What is that ayah, brother? فإن له نار جهنم خالدا فيها وغضب الله عليه ولعنه. Something of that sort. I can't remember the beginning of the ayah as of now. But, and many places in the Quran Allah mentions that. Like, the one who doesn't believe, who doesn't accept the oneness of Allah, of that sort. Then what's the what is their final destination, right? It's hellfire, right? And if there was such an accountability for non-believers, for those, then how would it be fair for somebody who, just say for example, did receive the message, but they didn't accept it, right? And still they died in the state of not believing, right? And somebody who didn't receive a message, right? But again, it's it's not that different to somebody who didn't receive the message, because it's such that it was either written for them that they will be dying without iman, right? Or the other hand is a possibility where they would accept Islam and obviously be amongst the believers. See what I'm saying? But yeah. So I don't know. You looking for the hadith?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
الإمام أحمد أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال 4 يحتاجون يوم القيامة: رجل أصم لا يسمع شيئا، رجل أحمق، ورجل هرم، ورجل مات في فترة. It's the fitra.
There's a fitra though, yeah. Fitra is different.
This is the hadith for the fitra.
Okay. But fitra is different. Fitra is obviously somebody who has died as a child, for example. Right? Is that what it is? The fitra is somebody who has died as an infant.
That's yeah.
Exactly. No, that's as an infant.
Yeah.
So somebody who has died as an infant, obviously going Jannah.
Yeah.
Obviously will enter Jannah because he is غير مكلف, meaning he doesn't have any rulings of Sharia upon him because he's not reached the age of puberty. So any child, even he's in a Christian family, Jewish family, Hindu family, whatever religion, right? He's died under the age of puberty because there's no ruling upon him. Like right now, as a Muslim, any child of ours, youngster, who's under the age of puberty, there is no ruling upon him. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's what the understanding of that hadith, is on fitrah, right? there any other meaning to
No,
that? I mean, that's what I mean.
They're saying that this is the two types. So like the hadith is saying like Yom Al-Qiyamah, these types, they will argue on Yom Al-Qiyamah. ففرس فأما الأصم فيقول ربي قد جاء الإسلام وما أسمع شيء. ده. أما الأحمق فيقول ربي قد جاء الإسلام والصبيان يحدثوني بالبعض. وأما الهيم فيقول ربي جاء الإسلام وما أعقل شيئا. وأما الذي مات في الفطرة فيقول ربي ما أتاني الرسول. الذي مات في الفطرة ما أتاني الرسول. I never received a message. Yeah. But and then this is the complete of the hadith. فيأخذ موثقهم ليطيعوه فيوصل إليهم أن يدخلوا النار. Allah asked them to enter the fire. والذي نفس محمد بيده لو دخلوها لكانت عليهم بردا وسلاما.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me. If you can send me that, inshallah, I will check that hadith and see what the explanation of that is. And again, authentic. I mean, I'm sure it's authentic hadith, but inshallah, we'll look into that more, and inshallah, hopefully next week we'll talk about that more. Anyway, but besides, one of the things which what I have heard from many scholars, and which I think one of my teachers also mentioned this. But yeah, so as I mentioned, the answer to the question, that is one thing. But yeah, we'll look into this more, and inshallah. Exactly. Yeah. That's also another thing. Because in many ayat of the Quran, Allah mentions that, right? That those, like for example, those who die without iman, right? He mentions that فَإِنَّ لَهُ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدًا فِيهَا, right? And so many other ayat which say that those who disbelieve, right? And the word kafaru, as we mentioned, that kufr, that is disbelief, and they die upon that, then what's going to happen? That is the final destination that they think. But yeah, inshallah, if you can send me that, and hopefully let me do some research on that, and then inshallah we'll talk about it more. So we're going to start from next week, ayah number 23. Okay, how many ayahs left now? 7? Okay, 7 ayat, and inshallah, hopefully after this surah, inshallah, we're going to start Surah Baqarah. Okay? We're going to start Surah Baqarah. Yeah?
That'll be a good one for the year.
Inshallah, yeah.
2020, yeah.
2020 will be, inshallah, Surah Baqarah, and hopefully, we can go over that, and hopefully ponder upon it. And as Ramadan is coming, right? And we will be starting from Surah Baqarah, so it will be inshallah beneficial in that sense. Okay, and again, there's so many things that we can discuss on it and go into the depth of it, but I try to do the least possible, because then the more you get into it, the more you're gonna do go into the branches of tafseer and talk about so many things, right? And sometimes we want to stay to just a few main points and then reflect upon it, because that is what's important, right? Sometimes see, every ayah of the Quran is an ocean. It's an ocean of knowledge, right? And it's very difficult to talk about everything, right? Even us just talking on 1 or 2 ayahs, it's like 45 minutes, right? Subhanallah, and that's what happens all the time, right? I think we probably went back or we went forward. Wallah, may Allah forgive us, and hopefully we can go over every single ayah. But going into the depth of it, I don't like to go too much into the depth of it. So inshallah, we'll continue, and we remember to always, every day, every night, try to read Surah Mulk, inshallah, so that we are saved from the azab of the qabr. Inshallah, may Allah give us the understanding. Jazakallahu khair wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Yeah.
I agree with my first question.
What's up?